I'm Stuart. Originally I'm from the north-east of England, from a place called Durham. I was fairly religious when I was a child, I think. My family wasn't really religious, it was just me. I would go to church sometimes. I started to go to study groups with Jehovah's Witnesses because I found them to be very idealistic and very spiritual. But the problems with them were that, for me, they had some not sensible ideas. But as Christians, they seemed very nice people, and I studied with them. And I used to go to conferences even at 7 years old, by myself, without my family. My early childhood was very happy. My mother actually remarried when I was 5 years old to a very nice man who took on 5 children, not of his own, and he made them his children. I couldn't have wanted for a better father, in fact. And as I was growing up, there were problems within my family. My mother, I think, experienced depression, which made her become a different person. All of my sisters ended up leaving home as soon as they became legally able to do so, until I was at home myself. 6 weeks after my 15th birthday, there was an incident at home, and quite frankly, in panic, I ran away from home. I because of my lifestyle not being stable and going from place to place, and then I ran away from the north of England and came to London at 15. I didn't follow religion or pray much or something like this. After I came to London, I was jumping from job to job, anything that I could get, trying to put myself through school, lots of periods of dropping out of school. I didn't have the family stability, really, or anyone to help with fees. Because of my relationship with my mother, I didn't really want to go to visit. I had to socialise because I was lonely, I didn't have family. It was difficult to find a good way to socialise except going to pubs. I found myself drinking a lot from the age of 16. I looked older, so I could go to pubs, stuff like that. And I would go from relationship to relationship. I was just probably a fairly average English guy at the time. As I got older and I wanted to settle down, again, it was difficult from my family background. I was scared of settling down properly, as in marriage and children. And in my mid-20s, I started to live with a lady from a secular Islamic background, and we lived together effectively as man and wife. She was a very nice person, but actually we didn't, after many years, we weren't really suitable for each other. We realised this. So we became effectively just friends, but I was still close to her family, and her nieces and nephews are my nieces and nephews. After I left, suddenly I was on my own, and I had a lot of time to think. And then it turned around to religion. At the time, I wanted to be a good Christian. So I started to explore churches. And I was actually shocked to find suddenly every church that I went to, they're talking about this Trinity thing. I wasn't happy with any of them. Because of having had Muslim friends most of my adult life as well. I just had learned some things about Islam. I was at home thinking about my life, thinking about everything. I'd read on the internet that to become a Muslim you say the Shahada. And one day I just said the Shahada by myself out of the blue at home. And I felt very emotional, I've got that feeling right now when I think about it. Just a wave of peace and joy. I called a friend of mine who I'd known for a long time. He's actually, culturally, he comes from a half Christian, half Islamic background. He chose to become Muslim many, many years ago. I called him and said I'd become Muslim, and he was so happy. And he took me to his local mosque in Essex, to the east of London, to say the Shahada in front of witnesses. One of the things which was brought up at the time was the issue of names. Because I don't choose, let's say, an Arabic name, some sections of the Islamic community don't want to accept you as a Muslim. Some of them became suspicious of me. They wanted me, really, to, despite them wearing Western dress, they expected me to adopt another culture in the way I looked, in the way I appeared, in the way I talked. Maybe grow a beard. I'm very comfortable the way I am, but I felt very awkward at the time. So I bought Arabic language CDs. I wasn't very good at trying to learn Arabic, or they were telling me what was expected of me Islamically. This is Islam, this is Islam. But most of what they were saying, they weren't practicing, or if they were practicing it, I couldn't find it in the Quran. So it made me read the Quran more deeply, read books on halal, haram, and Islamic jurisprudence more deeply. And I decided to focus on that, while at the same time trying to look inwardly at my behaviour. After I came back from the mosque where I said the Shahada in front of witnesses, I actually had a bottle of vodka at home, because I used to drink a lot. I took the bottle and I poured it down the sink, and I stopped drinking with my friends who did drink, because it's such a social thing, drinking. There I am suddenly, I've stopped drinking, I've become a Muslim. I have suspicion from my own community, if you like, suspicion from my friends, suspicion from my family. My ex-partner, who knew me 12 years, first of all asked me if I joined special branch of the intelligence services. Someone who'd known me like 12 years, every single day. When finally they became convinced, then they're like, oh, you joined Al-Qaeda, haven't you? They really believed that. I became more and more closed in on myself, and I stopped socializing. I lost most of my friends, but it didn't matter. The only thing I wanted was to be close to Allah, to try to develop myself as a better person inside, to change some of my negative behaviours. My relationships with the outside world came through the internet, ultimately, and the mobile phone and text messages. The way that people try to encourage you to join Islam, to find Islam, you feel as if once you become Muslim, you can have this, you be part of this community. Then suddenly, once they're not trying to convert you, they're gone, leaving a big gap. And it was a very difficult time. Some people are brilliant, but there are so many negative ones that you start to suspect even the good ones. Luckily for me, I just became introspective and took time to think internally and to read the Quran. But that kept me away from going to the mosque regularly. I'm here at Charlie's Restaurant in northwest London. I used to drink here a lot. In fact, I used to get drunk and enjoy the music on a Friday night, usually. Sometimes other nights as well. I actually come here in the daytime now and I drink coffee, cafe latte, and I actually spend less money. Before I was drinking too much beer, too much wine, and now I actually eat good food and I spend less. So that's one of the side benefits of becoming Muslim. I actually get to relax and enjoy myself and eat good halal food. The friends I had at that time who were drinking and so on, some of them didn't like that I'd stopped drinking and that my social life really started to happen in the daytime rather than at night time. So I've lost a lot of friends in the process, Muslim and non-Muslim, and I've had to basically rebuild my base of friends almost from scratch, which because I'm doing it sober and over a coffee rather than over some alcohol, I've made better choices with friends, good friends who are there when, you know, friends who, if I have emotional trouble or spiritual problems, I can talk to. They're actually there for me when I need them. And before, my friends, they'd be there if I was buying a drink. I was on a knife edge. Am I a Muslim? Am I a good enough Muslim? Muslims don't accept me, generally. My own people now don't accept me. So I went on Umrah in May, several months ago, and it was like the devil was trying to stop me from getting to Mecca. In Jeddah, where I was staying, I have an old back problem. Suddenly this back problem became huge, so I couldn't move. I lost feeling in my leg, and the doctor said, look, you can't go to Mecca, you have to lie on your back. Basically for nearly a week. I was running out of time to go to Mecca. Had another injection. I said, okay, that's the injection, it's not getting any better. I'm going to Mecca now. After arriving in Mecca, I don't know, I just started to feel strange. The closer I got to the Kaaba, the pain in my back got less and less and less. As soon as I got to the Kaaba and I was walking around, there was no pain. I don't even remember if there was a numbness, but I was walking around the Kaaba, and then it was time for prayer. It was so emotional and it was so beautiful that, you know, it was just amazing. And I felt, this electricity going through me. As an Englishman, I couldn't believe that I was having this feeling. as a Muslim, this is telling me there is something going on here, and this is a really, really special place. All the time I was praying for people. I was praying for myself, I was praying for my family, I was praying for friends, Muslim and non-Muslim. I found myself praying for world issues and also praying for individuals who'd asked me to pray for them. And I couldn't leave the place. I didn't want to leave. As I walked away, the pain slowly came back. And after going on the Kaaba, we have to go from Marwa to Sawa. I had to do it in a wheelchair. Going on the Kaaba, the pain went for the duration. I think it would have been pretty much impossible to do in a wheelchair. It would have been a great difficulty. If that wasn't Allah, if that wasn't God, or the power of something at the Kaaba, I don't know what it was, because I don't think I've got the power within myself to say pain go and be normal. That completely 100% reinforced my belief in Islam, and it gave me a confidence. My experience of engagement with the Islamic communities is that it's a very important topic, that the issue of why don't Muslims in the UK, for example, interact very much with non-Muslims. Most Muslims today now were born in the UK, but they're still not engaging with the outside world. When I go to some mosques, certain imams who haven't experienced multiculturalism are preaching to the young Muslims not to deal with the kafir, the non-Muslim. And I find it quite offensive the way they actually teach this. It's racist, it's xenophobic. Sometimes I've wanted to get up and shout, this is racism. You wouldn't accept it from a British person saying this exact same thing. If you're here, you need to engage. You need to do business. You need to, if you're going to take some of the benefits from society, you need to give something back. If Western society is helping your society should contribute back. There is no average, of course, but the average Muslim that I've come across, the average born Muslim, they don't practice Islam. They practice their culture. Someone somewhere is keeping us apart as communities. And I'd like to be part of something that can help those communities understand each other better. The media is definitely manipulated. I'm sure of this. If I just look at the question of Burma and the Muslims being killed there, it's not popping up on the BBC, it's not popping up on Sky News. I don't know the exact numbers, but maybe 4 million potentially Muslims in Burma, I believe, being killed, exterminated, pushed out of the country if possible, denied citizenship. All this is being ignored. When it was Christians in the east of Burma, that wasn't ignored. It was on the media day after day. And the numbers involved were actually quite small. Now this is millions of people being affected. I feel I've got to do something. And if all I can do is demonstrate, if all I can do is talk about it online, be a bit louder, write to my MP, send letters to the Prime Minister of the UK, and think of trying to get how to engage others to do the same, then I have to do it. My conscience will not allow me not to do it.
My name is Mohammed Abbasi. I'm here outside 10 Downing Street, outside the Ministry of Defence building as well. with Brother Stuart Wells, who's a recent convert to Islam. I met Stuart a few months ago when he called me, and then a few days later I met Stuart here in London, and we talked the way through, and ever since myself and Stuart we've been good buddies, and we more or less talk about anything. But the main thing is today what Stuart is helping on is this demonstration outside 10 Downing Street concerning the victims of the Burmese genocide, the Burmese Muslims who are being massacred in Burma by the Burmese military junta. Stuart has been instrumental in helping out on that and connecting us with people, and we'll be demonstrating, and hopefully David Cameron can hear myself or Stuart and others and say something about this situation, because people are being massacred. This is not just a Burmese Muslim issue, it's a humanitarian issue.
The closing ceremony of the Olympics last night, the overall theme was freedom. And yet we are doing nothing about millions of people being kicked out of their home, 50,000 plus being killed, and all because they're Muslim. Why is it that these human rights are being ignored? I'm here to protest against the killing of Muslims in Burma and the displacement of the Muslims in Burma. The aim that I'm hoping to achieve really is just to get the publicity out there into the wider community, and also directly to the Prime Minister, that the people are actually getting angry about this, we're aware of this, and to try and pressure them into doing something about it. It is real discrimination basically against Muslims, and as a new Muslim it's very painful, because at the end of the day I'm a Muslim myself. I actually experienced within my own country shock by my own family, by my friends, about me becoming Muslim. Within the British system I actually experienced a little bit of discrimination myself because I'm Muslim.
I used to be very impulsive, and I'd do things without thinking of the consequences. Islam has helped me to think more about my actions before I do something. It's definitely calmed me down. I'm more at ease with myself, as well as my circumstances, the environment that I'm in. Before, as much as I wanted children before, I'm not sure if I would have been stable enough emotionally to have children. I think, in fact, I really believe now that I'm ready for children and the responsibility that brings. And that's my next big thing. I'm ready to have children with some lovely lady. I wasn't ready for children before because I used to drink too much. I was spending too much money on so-called pleasures, but actually they were just completely haram pleasures. It would have taken away from what I should have been. It would have spent the money that I should be spending on family and children. Now my money goes a lot further, and I've lost nothing actually. All I've done is gained, and inshallah that's going to help me when I actually become a parent one day, and my family will hopefully appreciate that, and if they understand where I used to be in terms of behavioural patterns, they'll appreciate me better as a father one day when they can understand.